Hey, thanks for joining me for this DM tips video for Salted Legacy, the first adventure from Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, the new book out by Wizards of the Coast. This adventure is for level 1 characters, and if you're playing in the Adventurers League, you actually be level 1 and then level 2 halfway through. And if you are a player, there'll be lots of spoilers here, so please go play the adventure and then come back and let us know how it went. Okay, so the author of this adventure is Surena Marie, and the adventure takes place in the Dyn Singh night market, which is inspired by Bangkok and the night markets there in Thailand. And then one of the main culprits of this adventure, the Wynlings, are inspired by the monkeys and lemurs of Thailand, and all the hijinks here by the Lopburi Monkey Festival in Thailand. And finally, one of the main characters, Madame Kulp, is inspired by Serena's grandmother. There is a YouTube video for an author interview and a YouTube video for a DM walkthrough by the author. I'll put links in the description below for both of those. So let's take a look at how I ran this adventure. Here is how I broke down the pacing. So our 0 to 1, character intros, setting the adventure, visiting the night market, and welcome to the market. Our 1 to 2, exploring the market, caught in the middle, family feud, and market investigations. So when the market investigations first start, after the first investigation, there will be Wynling and Mischief. And as the investigations build, and the market games build, and renown builds, there'll be Wynling Mischief, and there'll be more and more of what the vendors know. As the character's renown grows, the vendors will share more and more information. And then our 2 to 3, market games 1 and 2, in whichever order the characters decide. And don't forget the Mischief after each, and what vendors know after each. And then our 3 to 4 to close it out, Market Game 3, Wynling Mischief, what vendors know, investigating Kasem, revealing the Wynlings, confronting Kasem, and if in the end the party cannot get to knowing that Kasem's the culprit, then there's the Rivals Explode part, and conclusion. So that's how I did pacing. So tools for that, you can have more or less interactions with NPCs. If there's very little NPC interaction, this can go about 2.5, 3 hours long. If there's a lot, it could go after more than 4 hours long. And if you're nearing the end and you need to wrap it up, you can always do the Rivals Explode somewhere in, but it's definitely more satisfying if the party finds out on their own. So watch the interactions, make sure you move the pace along, and into the 3rd hour, you're getting to the conclusion. Now for music, I used 2 overlapping music sources. Xingu Nights, which is like nature sounds, and then Shanghai 1930s, which is the city sounds around Shanghai. All right, now let's look at the maps. If I zoom out overall, these maps are all provided in the adventure. They are all on separate pages, and I've brought them all together onto one page. That's how I like to set up my adventures. So I brought each of the sections here. This map on the top right, this map, which is used for the battle prawns, part of the encounter, part of the adventure, I mirrored it. So only the left half appears in the adventure, but I mirrored it, copied it to make, instead of just 2 stations for prep, made 4 stations for prep. So for larger parties, everyone can be involved all at once. The text, I copied a lot of the text from the adventure, and I also like to put onto the maps just notes, right for the party, right for the players. Like here in the hide and seek section, I have what it takes to find the caterpillar, what it takes to lure a caterpillar or to grab a caterpillar. Here are these actions with investigation, perception, animal handling, and sleight of hand. Just put that right in the map so that it's handy for the characters and the players. Also, I have DM notes, like for preparing the green beans. If they take acid or fire, lightning, necrotic, or radiant damage, they're destroyed, so I put that note there. And red means it's on the GM layer, so I just have that over here on this GM layer. And then for tokens, here are the tokens for the adventure. And most of these are provided if you get like the Roll20 version of the adventure, or you can make them yourself from D&D Beyond or other sources that you have. So we have Lamai, Gammon, Kusa, Kasem, and V. So these are Lamai being the Lamai of the noodles, Tianmo noodles, and then Gammon, who comes, and the first confrontation is between these 2. And then Kusa shows up to try and resolve the confrontation. And then Kasem shows up to try and dissuade the characters from investigating too much. You'd like them to just kind of enjoy themselves, and leave. His brother V, these are the two Spice brothers. Then we have Sid Squid. So Sid Squid just is in a food cart, which it says is set up either near the Tianmo noodles or the Zangun family seafood. And I put it near the Tianmo noodles because I figured that's where the first kind of main interactions would be. And Sid Squid isn't described real clearly. I did a search for Sid Squid, and there's a cartoon character that's a rabbit, so I was tempted to go with the Herringon for that. It also describes him in the adventure as being an adventurer who, came here and settled here, so I just found the first fantasy chef I could find. I was looking for someone like yellow to match his servants, and so I came up with this guy here. And this token, if you want to find it yourself, you do a search for Duke Burial, and I'll put that in the description below. Okay, then he's got two assistants, and I took the two assistants from the picture. I also took these two characters from their picture. Kusa, the Spice Brothers. Okay, so here is the Battle Bronze Challenge. So I grabbed this character for the assistant and this character for the sous chef. So I made tokens for each of those. Then I made token for the Battle Bronze. And then for Kulp, the NPC based on the author's grandmother. And Kulp's got with her these little caterpillars. So I made some tokens for the caterpillars. There's 3 different ones. So I grabbed 3 different caterpillars. I just mirrored the one that's going left here, mirrored a right copy of them. These 4 you'll use in the hide and seek challenge. And you can actually add more too if you have a bigger party there. In the hide and seek challenge, lighting will be important, so I have some light source tokens there. And then in the final confrontation, we can finally run in to the Wynlings. And there's a token from a Wynling here. And then if you do second level, it's going to be a pretty easy fight to capture Kasem if there's a confrontation, even with all 3 Wynlings taking part. And so you might end up wanting to add some bandits. So I have a bandit token here, and I just kind of play that by ear by how it's going, how powerful the party is. So there's the tokens. Now let's go through the adventure kind of in order here. So the characters are going to do their intros. They're going to come into the night market. I'd have them come in from the west side over here, and let's start just exploring the market. And I put in lots of text as much as I can, because when I read something to the players, it's kind of gone from their memory as soon as I read it. And if I type something in chat, it's gone as soon as we start doing more stuff in chat. So I like to throw stuff on the map. I'm going to try and do this more and more too in my games. And as they explore around the night market, I can just take these items that are on the GM layer and move them to the map layer. So I have the things they find at each of the different parts of the market. Whether they go north or south, it's up to them. And they might go check out what the event grounds is all about. So I got the Golden Tents there, the Battle Bronze, the Ruined Family Pepper Challenge, the Hide and Seek Challenge. It's a sunken plaza. Made a note to myself to not forget the Wynling Mischief after each. And also that they can get extra renown if they win all 3, called Rhea, meaning the coals of the same buyer. So they kind of are really accepted in the market. They win 3 games. But back to original exploration. So they come eventually to Tianmo Noodles, and that's where the confrontation between Lamai and Gammon occurs. And that really kicks off the investigation part of the adventure. So then they'll be caught in the middle, and they'll have the family feud when Kusa shows up. And here is where Kasem will show up after the feud, and after potentially the party's been hired and wants to start their investigations. And Kasem's going to give them a walk around to the market and try and just encourage them to settle in for the night and not worry too much about investigating. And there's a chance with that interaction with Kasem that they'll insight some information with a 14 insight check that he's just trying to dissuade them from investigating. Okay, so then they'll find out as they start investigating that no one really wants to talk to them that much. And there you can start guiding them to the events where they can build up renown in them. So then the market events are starting with possibly the Pepper Challenge. That's the first one in the book, but it really can go in any order. So Pepper Challenge, there's no map for that, so I just bring these 2 brothers up to the front. And in the Pepper Challenge, the characters have to select peppers and try and eat them, and there's Constitution saving throws to avoid drinking milk or just running away from the table. And there's really no way the players can influence it. It's just all random. And one thing I think you could do is if any of the characters have skill in cooking, any background in cooking, then you could have them influence the pepper roll. Like move it 1 number down or 1 number up. So then the next event is the Battle Prawn Challenge. This one's pretty fun here, because this one, the party comes in, they're going to set up with 2 characters per table. If there's an odd number of party members, a NPC could join one of the party members. And they have to prepare the green tree of beans, and they have to slay one of the battle prawns. And the description starts out with these figures in these huge tanks just being shadowy. So you can kind of let the anticipation build on that until the party finds out they have to go battle those things. Once they defeat a battle prawn, the assistant will drag the battle prawn out, and the sous chef, who is also going to be preparing the green beans. If the party can do all of that for each individual group of the party, in 6 rounds they win the challenge. There's a nice picture there that I'll bring out. Right now I have the whole map shown. Of course, I hide sections of it until they're revealed. Okay, then the hide and seek challenge. So here they come to the tent where Madame Kulp is waiting, and there are 4 caterpillars. Now, if you have a party of 6, I might up that to 5 caterpillars. They're hidden in various places here in the various rooms. And as the party starts in the first room, there's a lantern, so there's some light here. So they can do an investigation perception check to find a caterpillar. And that, I just let them do that across the whole room. You know, if they take an action, they spin around, they can find one in the room or not find one in the room. Here, light sources will be important, so make sure you track which rooms are lit and which aren't, because in darkness, or even in dim light, the party should have, well, in darkness, they shouldn't be able to find them. In dim light, they should have disadvantage on finding. So if they're just going to rely on dark vision, that'd be disadvantage. So you definitely want to have light sources in each room. And this really played out to be a lot of fun. And again, I'd put probably 5 here if there were 6 characters. All right. So then if they return these 4 caterpillars back in 10 rounds, they win this challenge and get another renown. Then you have another mischief and another round of knowledge from the vendors. And of course, each area has specific individuals that can share more and more with them. So as the party's got the renown all the way up, the final clues point really directly to the Spice Brothers. And the party can go investigate the Spice Brothers tent and shop. And there's some information that points specifically to their tent. So I don't have a map for this section, this area yet, but definitely you'll want something, because this is a good chance to have combat here or just investigation here. And I'm sure some second party will make a really good map of this location in the future, and when that happens, I'll link that in the description below. But for now, line art serves just fine. So here's the main Spice Brothers building, and behind the building, they own a tent. And in this tent, they have a couple of cots where the brothers sleep, and there's some business records, there's a box of persimmons, and there's a crate marked peppers. And if the party investigates, they'll find that in the crate marked peppers, there's 3 straw-lined bird cages. And at that point, when they find that, you can have them, really whenever you want, be confronted by Kasem. And if you think the party can handle it, Kasem could be accompanied by 1 or 2 bandits, in addition to all the Wynlings that he could call. And you could have right here, outside of the tent, behind their building, the end battle of the adventure. And then that drives them to the conclusion. They'll reveal the Wynlings, confront Kasem, and then the conclusion. So it's a really fun adventure. It plays out. It took me about 3 hours to run it the first time. Had a pretty involved party, so they did a lot of investigation. And there's enough combat in the Battle Prawn Challenge, I think, to satisfy a lot of groups. I like a little bit more. The hide and seek was kind of like combat. There's a lot of movement, a lot of checks to do there, and then the final confrontation as well. Now you can, of course, complete the adventure without a confrontation, so that's kind of the party play style and your play style. You have to decide how you want to do that. So I hope you have a good time running this fun adventure, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the journeys through the Radiant Citadel. I hope the rest of the adventures are as fun as this one.